Commander Maya Chen stood at the observation deck of the UES Dauntless, watching Earth shrink to a pale blue dot as the ship accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. Humanity's first faster-than-light vessel represented the pinnacle of human achievement, the culmination of decades of research, international cooperation, and scientific breakthroughs. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Elijah Nakamura joined her at the viewport, his weathered face reflecting the stars beyond. As the ship's chief scientist, he had pioneered the gravitational folding drive that made their journey possible. "It is," Maya replied, her eyes never leaving her homeworld. "Hard to believe we've come so far. And yet we've only just begun." Elijah's voice carried a hint of apprehension that Maya couldn't miss. Before she could respond, Lieutenant Commander Alejandro "Alex" Reyes, the ship's tactical officer, approached with a datapad. "Commander, we're detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Nothing like we've encountered before." Maya frowned. "Natural phenomenon?" "Negative. The pattern is too regular, too precise." Maya exchanged a quick glance with Elijah. "Alert Captain Harrison. Take us to condition yellow." As the Dauntless approached the coordinates, the bridge fell silent. On the main view screen, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. "Energy readings off the charts," Alex reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. "Whatever it is, it's massive." Captain Marcus Harrison entered the bridge, his imposing figure commanding immediate attention. "Status report, Commander." Before Maya could respond, a blinding flash of light erupted from the distortion. When the crew's vision cleared, they faced something impossible. A massive structure had appeared where empty space had been moments before. The object was clearly artificial, a gleaming obsidian construct that stretched nearly 20 kilometers in length, with geometric patterns etched across its surface that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "First contact protocol," Harrison ordered, his voice steady despite the circumstances. "Open all communication channels." For 3 tense hours, the Dauntless broadcast greetings in every human language and mathematical sequence the ship's AI could generate. Then, without warning, a beam of coherent energy lanced out from the alien vessel, engulfing the Dauntless in a prismatic field. "Shields failing," Alex shouted over the blaring alarms. "Hull integrity at 60% and dropping." Maya grabbed a console as the ship shuddered violently. "Evasive maneuvers." But the Dauntless didn't respond. Every system had gone dark. "They've completely neutralized our technology," Elijah whispered, staring at his dead instruments. The bridge viewscreen activated of its own accord, revealing a being unlike anything humanity had imagined. Its body appeared fluid, almost crystalline, shifting between states of matter as it moved. Multiple appendages extended and retracted from its torso, and where a face might be, there was only a swirling vortex of luminescent particles. "Humans," the creature spoke directly into their minds, its telepathic voice resonating with contempt. "You have left your cradle too soon. We are the Axiom, custodians of this galactic quadrant. Your species has been observed and found wanting." Captain Harrison stepped forward. "We come in peace. We seek only knowledge and friendship. Peace is irrelevant. Knowledge is earned through worthiness. Your species possesses neither the biological sophistication nor technological advancement to join the galactic community." Images flooded their minds, countless worlds, species extinguished, civilizations reset to primitive states. "Your trial begins now. Survive, and you may be permitted to exist in isolation. Fail, and humanity will be regressed to a pre-industrial state. This is mercy by Axiom standards." The communication ended abruptly. The alien vessel vanished in another flash of light, leaving the Dauntless drifting powerless, but this was only the beginning. Within hours, similar vessels appeared in Earth's orbit. The Axiom had arrived to judge humanity's worthiness, and they had already rendered their verdict. 3 months after first contact, Maya crouched in the ruins of what had once been downtown Singapore, watching as Axiom hunter drones swept through the abandoned financial district. Their crystalline bodies reflected the setting sun, casting prismatic patterns across the debris-strewn streets. "Clear," she whispered into her comm unit, a cobbled-together device that used primitive radio waves technology so archaic the Axiom didn't bother to monitor it. "Copy that," Alex replied from his position 3 blocks away. "Convoys moving in 5. Maya checked her makeshift weapon, a railgun powered by salvaged Axiom technology, the culmination of reverse engineering efforts led by Elijah. The Axiom's initial attack had been swift and devastating. They didn't seek to exterminate humanity, merely to reset civilization. They had systematically neutralized global power grids, communications, and advanced technology. Major cities were placed under Axiom control, while rural areas were largely ignored, considered too primitive to pose any threat. The Axiom didn't understand human resilience. They didn't anticipate how quickly humans would adapt, how fiercely they would fight back. While the aliens assumed victory was complete, resistance cells formed worldwide, sharing information via pre-digital methods, adapting Axiom tech for human use. Maya's team, consisting of the surviving Dauntless crew and local resistance fighters, had become one of the most effective cells operating in Southeast Asia. Tonight's mission: intercept an Axiom resource transport and steal its precious cargo of synthesized element 931, the exotic matter that powered their technology. A low whistle signaled the approach of Zara Wong, their local guide and former quantum physicist. "The blockade at Orchard Road is down to 2 sentinels," she reported, her face streaked with camouflage paint. "Dr. Nakamura's EMP worked." Maya nodded. "Any word from Harrison's team?" "They're in position near the marina. If we can divert the transport their way, they'll handle the extraction." The plan was risky. The Axiom transport would pass through the financial district in approximately 20 minutes, following its regular patrol route. Maya's team would ambush it with a localized electromagnetic pulse technology the Axiom considered too primitive to be a threat, then force it to change course toward Captain Harrison's extraction team. "Commander," Alex's voice crackled over the comm, "we've got a problem. 3 Axiom arbiters just joined the convoy." Maya's blood ran cold. Arbiters were the Axiom's elite warriors, capable of phasing through solid matter and wielding weapons that could disintegrate a human instantly. They were rarely deployed in routine operations. "Abort?" Zara asked, her eyes wide with concern. Maya hesitated. Element 931 was crucial for their resistance's survival. Without it, they couldn't power the weapons they developed or the communications network they were building. But facing arbiters meant near certain death. "No," she decided. "We adapt." New plan. Within minutes, Maya had repositioned her team. Instead of attacking the convoy directly, they would use a cascade of smaller EMPs to create the appearance of a system malfunction, then strike when the Axiom were investigating the disturbance. As the convoy approached, Maya felt her heart hammering in her chest. The transport, a levitating obsidian platform surrounded by swirling energy fields, came into view, flanked by hunter drones and the 3 imposing arbiters. "Now," Maya whispered. Alex triggered the first EMP. A subtle pulse rippled through the air, causing the nearest hunter drone to falter momentarily. The convoy paused as expected. The second and third EMPs followed in quick succession, each seemingly more natural than the last. 2 arbiters moved to investigate, leaving only one guarding the transport. Maya raised her hand, counting down with her fingers. 3, 2, 1. She fired her railgun directly at the energy field surrounding the transport. The projectile, infused with a reverse polarity charge developed by Elijah, penetrated the field and struck the platform's control node. The transport's energy field collapsed, and chaos erupted. Hunter drones swarmed in confusion as Maya's team emerged from hiding, firing their modified weapons. The remaining arbiter phased toward Maya with terrifying speed, its crystalline appendages transforming into razor-sharp blades. "Maya, down!" Zara shouted, tossing a device toward the arbiter. Maya dropped as the device detonated, releasing a cloud of nanites programmed to disrupt the arbiter's phase-shifting abilities. The alien warrior solidified mid-stride, suddenly vulnerable. Maya didn't hesitate. She fired 3 consecutive shots from her railgun, each striking the arbiter at its resonance points, weaknesses Elijah had identified through his research. The creature shattered into 1,000 glittering fragments. "Transport secured," Alex called out. "But the other arbiters are returning." Get the element, 931, and move out. Maya ordered, providing covering fire as her team extracted several glowing containers from the transport's core. As they retreated into the ruins of the city, Maya caught a glimpse of an arbiter standing motionless, observing their escape with what almost seemed like curiosity. For the first time, she wondered if the Axiom were beginning to realize that humanity might not be as primitive as they had assumed. 1 year into the invasion, humanity had lost every conventional battle against the Axiom. Yet they remained undefeated. In an underground facility beneath the ruins of Geneva, once the headquarters of CERN, Lydia Nakamura worked feverishly alongside a team of scientists from around the world. The facility, shielded from Axiom detection by layers of lead and exotic materials, had become the central hub of humanity's scientific resistance. The integration is holding, Elijah announced, monitoring the neural interface connecting Lieutenant Sofia Torres to the modified Axiom technology. Sofia, formerly the Dauntless communications specialist, had volunteered for the experimental procedure after losing both legs in an Axiom attack. How does it feel? Maya asked, watching Sofia's face intently. Strange, Sofia replied, her eyes closed in concentration. It's like I can feel the technology thinking. Not just responding to my commands, but anticipating them. This was the breakthrough they had been working toward. After months of studying captured Axiom technology, Elijah had discovered something remarkable. The aliens' advanced systems weren't purely mechanical or digital, but partially organic, capable of forming symbiotic relationships with their users. The Axiom underestimated us because they believed their technology was incompatible with human biology, Elijah explained. But they failed to account for our neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to adapt and form new connections. Sofia opened her eyes, which now held a subtle luminescent quality. I can sense the Axiom networks, she whispered. Not clearly, but it's like overhearing a conversation in another room. Captain Harrison, who had been silently observing from the corner, stepped forward. The past year had aged him visibly, his once dark hair was now streaked with gray, and a jagged scar ran from his temple to his jaw, a souvenir from a close encounter with an arbiter. Can you access their systems? He asked. Their communications? Not yet, Sofia replied. But I'm learning their language. Their code. Given time, time is the one resource we're running out of, Harrison said grimly. The Axiom are accelerating their timetable. They're building terraforming engines in major population centers. Once activated, Earth's atmosphere will be reconfigured to be toxic to humans but perfect for Axiom colonization. Maya studied the global map projected on the wall, showing Axiom strongholds in red and human resistance cells in blue. The red was spreading relentlessly. How long do we have? She asked. 2 months. Maybe less. Elijah cleared his throat. There's something else you should know. We've been analyzing the biological samples collected from destroyed arbiters. The Axiom aren't a natural species, at least, not anymore. They've engineered themselves, merging with their technology to such an extent that it's impossible to determine where biology ends and technology begins. Which means? Harrison prompted. Which means they're not gods. They're just further along the evolutionary path than we are. Elijah looked at Sofia, then back to the others. And we may have found a shortcut. In the weeks that followed, Elijah's team worked around the clock, refining the neural interface technology. 20 more volunteers underwent the procedure, each forming a unique connection with Axiom tech. Some gained the ability to manipulate energy fields, others could interface directly with Axiom systems. Sofia developed the extraordinary ability to intercept and decode Axiom communications, but the process wasn't without cost. The integration taxed the human body and mind. The volunteers suffered from migraines, hallucinations, and occasional psychotic episodes. 2 didn't survive the procedure at all. We're pushing human evolution forward by centuries in a matter of weeks, Elijah explained during a tense leadership meeting. There are bound to be complications. We're running out of options, Maya argued. The Axiom are already suspicious. They've increased patrols around our known hideouts. There's something else, Sofia interrupted, her luminescent eyes fixed on something only she could see. "I've been monitoring their communications. The Axiom are not unified in their approach to Earth. There's a faction among them advocating for a different solution." "Different how?" Harrison asked. "They believe humans have shown unexpected adaptability. They're proposing a longer observation period before implementing the final phase of terraforming." Maya leaned forward. "Can we exploit this division?" "Perhaps," Sophia replied. "But we need to demonstrate our adaptability in a way they can't ignore. We need to speak their language." "A direct communication," Elijah mused. "But our conventional broadcasts have been ignored or blocked." "Not conventional," Sophia tapped her temple. "I can send a message directly through their network. But it would reveal our location." "Then we need to make sure it's worth it," Harrison declared. "We need to show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The Axiom detected the anomaly immediately, an unauthorized transmission propagating through their secure network. In the central control node hovering above what had once been New York City, the Axiom overseer, designated Prime Orchestrator, monitored the intrusion with growing concern. "Identify source," Prime Orchestrator commanded. "Signal originates from European sector, subgrid 7, responded a subordinate Axiom. "Pattern indicates," impossible, pattern indicates Axiom compression algorithms, but modified with unknown variables. "Humans lack the cognitive framework to interface with our systems," Prime Orchestrator stated, though with less certainty than before. The transmission resolved into coherent form, a human female, her eyes glowing with the unmistakable resonance of Axiom technology. "I am Sophia Torres of Earth," she communicated directly in Axiom thought language. "Your assessment of humanity was premature and flawed. We request formal recognition and cessation of hostilities." Prime Orchestrator analyzed the transmission, confirming what should have been impossible: a human had successfully integrated with Axiom technology at the neural level. "Dispatch arbiters to the source location," Prime Orchestrator ordered. "This anomaly must be contained and studied." In Geneva, Sophia severed the connection. "They received the message," she announced to the waiting command team. "And they're coming for us." Maya nodded grimly. "Then we proceed as planned." "How long?" 20 minutes, maybe less." Harrison addressed the assembled resistance fighters. "Remember, we only need to hold them off long enough for Elijah's team to deploy the countermeasure. After that, fall back to the secondary positions." The attack came with the suddenness and precision characteristic of the Axiom. The facility's outer defenses were breached in minutes, Axiom hunter drones pouring through the gaps, followed by a dozen arbiters. Maya led the frontline defense, her integrated Axiom weaponry allowing her to match the arbiters' phase-shifting abilities for brief periods. Around her, other enhanced humans fought with abilities that would have seemed miraculous a year earlier, manipulating energy fields, redirecting Axiom weapons, even temporarily controlling hunter drones, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. One by one, resistance fighters fell. Maya watched in horror as Alex took a direct hit from an arbiter's disintegration beam, his body crumbling to ash even as he managed to destroy 2 hunter drones. "We're losing ground too quickly." Maya shouted into her comm. "Elijah, status?" "Countermeasure at 80%, Elijah's voice came back, strained and breathless. "We need 5 more minutes." "We don't have 5 minutes." Maya ducked as an energy blast vaporized the wall behind her. 3 arbiters had cornered her in what had once been a particle accelerator control room. Their crystalline forms shifted and flowed as they advanced, weapons primed. "Your resistance is illogical," one communicated directly to her mind. "You cannot prevail against the Axiom." Maya felt blood trickling from her nose, a side effect of pushing her neural interface too hard. "We don't need to prevail," she replied, both vocally and through the neural link. "We just need to survive." She lashed out with a burst of focused energy, temporarily disrupting one arbiter's cohesion. The other 2 lunged forward, but a massive explosion rocked the facility before they could reach her. Through the settling dust emerged Captain Harrison, his body now more Axiom than human. In the most extreme integration yet attempted, he had merged with a captured arbiter's core essence. His skin rippled with crystalline patterns, and his eyes burned with the same swirling vortex that characterized the axiom. "Get to the core chamber," Harrison ordered, his voice resonating strangely. "I'll hold them here." Marcus, Maya began. "That's an order, Commander." Harrison advanced toward the arbiters, who hesitated, clearly confused by his transformed state. Maya sprinted toward the core chamber, the heart of the CERN facility where Elijah and his team had been working. She found them surrounding a device that pulsed with blinding light, a modified particle accelerator connected to what appeared to be an axiom power node. "It's ready," Elijah announced as she entered. His face was gaunt, exhausted from weeks of non-stop work. "But someone needs to stay to manually trigger the final sequence." "I'll do it," Maya volunteered immediately. "No," Sophia interrupted. "It has to be me. The countermeasure is coded to my specific neural pattern. Only I can ensure it propagates correctly through the axiom network." Before Maya could argue, the facility shook with another, more powerful explosion. The axiom were breaking through Harrison's last defense. "Go, now," Sophia urged, taking position at the control interface. "If this works, rendezvous at backup site Omega in 3 days." Tears in her eyes, Maya embraced Sophia briefly. "It will work," she promised. "And we'll be waiting for you." As Maya led the remaining team through the emergency evacuation tunnel, Sophia turned to face the core chamber entrance. Through her enhanced perception, she could sense the axiom forces converging, dozens of hunter drones, at least 15 arbiters, and among them, a presence she hadn't encountered before, Prime Orchestrator itself. The massive door buckled inward as Sophia initiated the final sequence. The particle accelerator hummed to life, channeling energy into the axiom power node. The node began to pulse, generating a signal that would propagate through the axiom's own communication network, a signal carrying a simple but devastating payload. When the door finally gave way, Sophia stood calmly before the assembled axiom forces. Behind her, the countermeasure reached critical resonance. "What have you done?" Prime Orchestrator demanded, sensing the energy building within the chamber. Sophia smiled. "We've evolved." The countermeasure activated, releasing a cascading wave of energy that swept through the axiom network at superluminal speed. It carried neither destruction nor violence. Instead, it transmitted information, the complete neural patterns of every enhanced human, the sum total of humanity's knowledge, art, emotions, and dreams, compressed into a form the axiom could comprehend. For the first time in their existence, the axiom experienced human consciousness directly, not as observers, but as participants. Part V. ASCNSON 3 days later, Maya stood on a hilltop overlooking Lake Geneva, watching as the axiom vessel hovered silently above the ruined city. Unlike before, it emitted no threatening energy signatures, no hunter drones. It simply waited. "Do you think it worked?" Zara asked, standing beside her. "I don't know," Maya admitted. "But something's changed. They've stopped the terraforming operations worldwide. The hunter drones have gone dormant." Elijah joined them, supported by 2 resistance fighters. The evacuation had aggravated his injuries, leaving him weaker than ever. "The countermeasure was designed to force understanding," he explained. "Not to destroy or control, but to create a bridge between our consciousness and theirs." "And if they didn't want to understand?" Maya asked. Before Elijah could answer, a brilliant beam of light descended from the axiom vessel, touching down 50 meters from their position. When it dissipated, 3 figures stood where it had landed, 2 axiom in their crystalline forms, and between them, Sophia Torres. Maya rushed forward, then stopped short. Sophia had changed. Her body shimmered with the same fluid, crystalline quality as the axiom, yet she retained her human features and form. Her eyes, now completely luminescent, regarded Maya with familiar warmth. "Maya," Sophia greeted her, her voice resonating both audibly and telepathically. "It worked beyond our expectations." "What happened to you?" Maya asked. "Evolution. Synthesis." Sophia gestured to the axiom beings beside her. "The countermeasure created a feedback loop. As they experienced our consciousness, we experienced theirs. I was at the epicenter of the transmission. My integration accelerated. We have misjudged humanity, one of the Axiom communicated, its telepathic voice lacking the contempt that had characterized previous interactions. Your species possesses qualities we had not anticipated: adaptability beyond biological constraints, cognitive flexibility that defies prediction models, emotional complexity that generates novel solutions. The trial is concluded, the second Axiom stated. Humanity has demonstrated worthiness by criteria we failed to establish. Maya studied them skeptically. Just like that? After a year of trying to eradicate us? Not eradicate, Sophia corrected. Test. The Axiom have been custodians of this galactic quadrant for millennia, ensuring that emerging species don't advance beyond their cognitive and ethical development. Every species they've encountered before either failed to adapt or attempted to respond with only greater violence. Until humanity found a third option, Elijah realized. Integration rather than submission or destruction. Your Captain Harrison understood, the first Axiom communicated. His sacrifice enabled the completion of the neural bridge. Maya felt a pang of grief. Harrison is dead? His consciousness survived, Sophia assured her. He has become something new, neither fully human nor Axiom, but a synthesis of both. As have I, to a lesser extent. From the sky above, more Axiom vessels appeared, dozens, then hundreds, surrounding the Earth in a glittering constellation. What happens now? Maya asked, staring up at the armada. Now, Sophia replied, we take our place in the galactic community. Not as subjects or as conquerors, but as equals. The Axiom have offered to share their knowledge, their technology, to help us rebuild Earth and eventually join them among the stars. And in return, we share what makes us human. Our art, our emotions, our unpredictability. Our capacity for growth and change. Sophia smiled. It turns out these are rare and precious things in the universe. In the months that followed, Earth transformed. Axiom technology, guided by human creativity and purpose, restored the environment, revolutionized medicine, and eliminated scarcity. The integration process that had begun as a desperate measure became a voluntary path chosen by many, creating a new hybridized species that combined the best aspects of both human and Axiom. Others, like Maya, chose to remain fully human, serving as a living repository of humanity's original nature and perspective. Both paths were honored in the new society that emerged. 1 year to the day after the activation of the countermeasure, Maya stood again on the observation deck of the UES Dauntless, restored and enhanced with Axiom technology. Beyond the viewport, Earth shone blue and vibrant, surrounded by the crystalline structures of a flourishing civilization. Beside her stood Elijah, his health restored through Axiom medical technology, and Zara, who had become a leading researcher in cross-species communication. I still can't believe how quickly everything changed, Zara remarked. Adaptation is what we do best, Elijah replied. It's what saved us. Maya's gaze shifted to the stars beyond. A new fleet of exploration vessels, human and Axiom designs, merged seamlessly together, prepared for their maiden voyage to distant star systems. They called us weak, she mused. Primitive. Unworthy. And now? Elijah prompted. Maya smiled as Sophia entered the observation deck, her crystalline form shimmering in the starlight. Behind her followed an Axiom being that Maya recognized as once having been Prime Orchestrator, now transformed through its own evolution. Now, Maya said, they understand what we've always known. It's not the strongest who survive, nor the most intelligent. It's those most responsive to change. The dauntless engines hummed to life, propelling humanity toward its next great adventure, not as conquerors or subjects, but as teachers and students, carrying forward the indomitable spirit that had saved them from extinction and transformed their would-be destroyers into allies. On distant worlds across the galaxy, other Axiom began to share the story of the species that had changed everything: the beings who had turned judgment into understanding, conflict into synthesis, and enemies into family. They had come to reset humanity to a primitive state. Instead, humanity had elevated them all.